So what we need to stop and realize is that these small steps, these small habits, these consistent actions that we take every single week or every single day to become a full-time content creator will make a difference, and they are important, but we just can't give up too soon. My name is Christina Dennis, and I've been a DIY decor content creator since 2009. What started as a passion for transforming drab spaces into vibrant havens has now turned into something bigger, something life-changing. I'm supporting our entire family with the income from the DIY Mommy blog, YouTube channel, and social media platforms. But it didn't happen overnight. It took countless hours of brainstorming, creating, and sharing content about what I love the most: budget-friendly DIY decor and home improvement projects. Now I'm ready to share all of my secrets, tips, and strategies that helped me turn my passion for DIY decor into a full-time career, supporting my family along the way. Are you ready to transform your hobby into a successful career? Welcome to the Six Figure Creator Podcast. Welcome back to the Six Figure Creator Podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today. This is episode number 8. So I'm really happy and proud of all the episodes that I've put together over the past few months. Thank you for following along, for listening. Thank you for being flexible as I have moved to bi-weekly podcasts, just so I can focus on all of the other things that I have going on. I am going to be chatting with you today about consistency and how I believe it is the number one thing that you can do to be successful in the content creator business. Now, normally I sit down for a few hours and write out some notes and then formulate an entire blog post before I record these podcasts, because I do feel like I can put my ideas down in a better way on paper before I can speak them. However, today I just want to speak from my heart. I have a few notes scribbled down that I'm going to refer to, but this is a topic that I'm really passionate about, and I want to make sure that I'm just chatting with you like I would chat with a friend, because I know that you're a smaller group, but you are a group that is really interested in growing your business as a content creator. And a lot of you are specifically in DIY and decor like I am. So I think we can just chat about this. Consistency is one of those things that is very difficult to do. And I feel like being consistent with the things that you're creating day in and day out is especially hard when you're not instantly seeing the benefits of being consistent, right? When you get an immediate reward for the work that you do, it's a lot easier to continue doing that work, to continue getting those obvious rewards. But a lot of the time, if not 99.99% of the time, you're going to be doing a lot of work before you see any big rewards. And I'm talking about the traditional rewards that we are looking for in a career, like money, like growing your numbers on social media, and all of that kind of thing. A lot of us put together lofty goals in the new year in January. So I feel like February is a great time to sit down and have a look at those goals and what kinds of habits we are trying to develop to reach those goals. I am reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. I know everybody is reading this book. I'm actually reading it because I am doing the Gina Livy program, which is a health and weight loss program. And I've done it a few times before and I love it. I love it so much. It really helps me eat so many healthy things, fruits and vegetables and whole grains. And it helps me actually eat, because as a busy mom with multiple things going on with business, I sometimes don't eat like I should. So I love this program. Anyhow, I'm doing it again. She recommends this book. And so I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to read this book, Atomic Habits. I'm in the middle of it. And that's kind of one of the things that prompted this podcast today. He talks about how to build these small habits, right? Day in and day out. And he has some great strategies in the book on how you can do things that he calls habit stacking and naming the habit, all this stuff. Highly recommend the book. I'll link it in the show notes of today's episode at thesixfigurecreator.com. But in this book, he has this really great visual, and he talks about how an ice cube will be warmed up, but it does not change its state until it hits, I'll use Celsius because I'm in Canada, until it hits 0 degrees, and then suddenly it melts. He uses this to illustrate what he calls the plateau of latent potential, where you're developing these good habits. You do them every single day, but you're not seeing any change. You're not seeing any sort of reward, right? And then we kind of get disappointed. We hit this valley of disappointment. And then that's where a lot of us give up. I can relate this to weight loss or becoming healthy. I am right now in this kind of plateau of latent potential, or this valley of disappointment, where, for the last 4 weeks, I've been making really great choices when it comes to my eating habits and my exercise habits, and nothing's happening. I lost 2 pounds and, I feel great, but nothing's happening, and it just gets frustrating. And so I want to relate that to being a content creator and starting really any sort of career, right? We have this dream, we have this goal, we want to become a full-time content creator and make money through YouTube ads and affiliate links and blog ads and sponsored posts and all that sort of thing. So we know we have to write a blog post every week. We have to throw a couple of social media posts. We have to put together a YouTube video every week or 2. And by the way, I do have suggestions on how many things that you should do as a creator. I think I put it in a couple of podcasts ago where I talked about creating a content calendar. So check that out. But anyway, we know we have to do these things. We do them for 6 months, say, and we don't see any huge growth. We're not seeing our Instagram subscribers go up. We're not seeing our YouTube subscribers go up. We're not seeing any sort of income. So it's disappointing, and we give up. And I see this time and time and time again. Oh boy, so many creators will be so excited at the beginning. Maybe they'll have a viral video or something, sharing all their DIY decorating ideas, learning to create better videos and photos, and they are consistent. They start being consistent. They start their weekly video, their weekly blog post, and crickets. They feel like nothing's happening. And usually nothing does. It's very, very rare that I've seen people become overnight successes as content creators. With TikTok, you do see it sometimes where a video will get viral with 5 million views, and then this person's kind of launched into the business immediately. But even then, there's so much learning that has to be done, and so many things that take a while to build that foundation for the business. So what we need to stop and realize is that these small steps, these small habits, these consistent actions that we take every single week or every single day to become a full-time content creator, and I'm sure that's your goal for a lot of you, will make a difference, and they are important, but we just can't give up too soon. We just can't, and I think most of us do. Now, I have no clue where I got this fact or figure, no idea, but in the 41 years that I've been alive and the multiple businesses that my husband and I have started and maintained, and friends of mine that I've seen them along their entrepreneurial journey, it seems like 3 to 5 years is kind of the golden time frame to establish any business, whether it is opening a store, whether it is becoming a content creator. So I really think, and I know this sounds like a long time, I really think it's important to stick it through until that 3 to 5 year mark, at least the 3-year mark, and see where you are. So that's a lot of work. But I am a firm believer that nothing good, especially in business, comes without lots of work. I think we do have to be consistently putting our best efforts into our work to create that dream job situation. Now, I've been in this industry for 15 years this year. June 1st marks my 15th anniversary of my blog, The DIY Mommy. So that's a lot of years. And I definitely didn't start making money until about year 4. And I think I could have probably made money a little bit sooner if I didn't have babies at home. But that was when I started. And then it didn't become full time until about 2017, 2016. So it took me a while, and I did work a lot. There was a lot of late nights, especially when my kids were little. I was momming all day and then working all night. So now I try to have a better work-life balance, and I'm really grateful that I can have that luxury. I think what we have to realize is that we need to do all of these small, consistent steps day in and day out to reach those big steps. And this was a line that I heard recently on a podcast episode that I listened to. The podcast is called The Quote of the Day Show by Sean Croxton. Highly recommend. It's a really great little 15-minute podcast that you can listen to. So speaking of habits, I'm trying to make exercise a habit daily, whether it's doing a little bit of elliptical or weights. And my treat to help me, which is called habit stacking, by the way, if you want to read Atomic Habits, is to listen to a podcast while I'm doing that. And I listen to a business podcast or motivational because that's what I enjoy. So anyway, in this podcast, his guest was talking about just all the small steps that we have to do until we reach those big steps. So the big step might be becoming that full-time content creator, but we do have to do all those little steps in between, and we have to be consistent with those. But it doesn't have to be frustrating. You don't have to feel like you're just grinding away at it. If this is something that you truly love and you truly enjoy, which I know for most of you it is, for all of you it is. We love to make things. We love to share them with people. We love to teach people. Try to enjoy those little steps. Enjoy what you have right now. Enjoy those 10 people you have following you on Instagram. Enjoy those 5,000 people you have following you on Instagram. I know a lot of us want to achieve that 100,000 follower status, but what about those 50 people that you have right now? Imagine those 50 followers in a room with you in person, listening to what you have to say and encouraging you as you're making your DIY. I think that's an amazing thing to think about. And I need to think about that more because I really don't want to take all of my community members for granted. It's amazing that they are taking time out of their busy day to listen to me and see what I'm making. So as you create these things, think about, even if it's just 5 people that see your YouTube video, that's 5 people. That's pretty amazing. And don't forget too, how much you're learning as you are putting out this content. Every video you create is going to be better than the last, especially if you take the time to go through some tutorials, learn your equipment, get some inspiration from other creators on how you can make each piece of content better. You're learning your camera, you're learning your phone, you're learning how to create good headlines. All of that is so, so important. A lot of us wait for that big reward at the end, the money, the fame, whatever, but isn't the reward being able to do what we love? I feel like that is such a great reward day in and day out. So try to just enjoy that process, even if you're not seeing those traditional rewards right away. Okay, I want to talk about a hard question. And I remember getting this from one of my friends a couple years ago. And she was working away at something for years. And she asked, okay, so when do I know when to quit? Like, when do I know that this isn't working and it's time to quit? And I think that's a hard question. And I think it's a good question and definitely one we should consider. So in my opinion, I feel like the time to give up is, number one, when it's impacting your health, your mental health, your physical health, your financial health. And number two, when it's affecting the health in those categories of the people around you, of your family. In 2009, after my first daughter was born, I told you about how I started my blog, but at the same time, I started a baby apparel business. And it was really exciting. I sewed some dresses and bibs and things all on my own, and I got really good at it. I sold them at craft fairs, etc. And then I started selling enough that I wanted to outsource the manufacturing. So I found a fair trade manufacturer in Nicaragua, and they started sewing my things. It was a very cool process, all the samples and sewing, and I loved it. It was so fun. And then I was able to sell them at a larger scale. Now, after about 3 years of doing this. So I had reached that 3 to 5 year point. I looked at my books as I had been looking at them over the past few years and realized, you know what? I'm not making any money at this. In fact, I'm losing money. This is affecting my family financially. This is affecting me. I think it's time to pivot. And that's when I put a lot more time into the blog. So that's definitely one thing to think about is your health, your family's health. But then number 3, if you've reached that 3 to 5 year point and you're not seeing anything. You've been consistent, you've been honest with yourself and consistent over that time frame, and you're not seeing the financial reward, the personal reward, then it might be time to pivot. And I don't think quitting is the word I would use. I think pivoting is the word I would use because I've done this so many times. So is my husband. We are master pivoters. We've tried a lot of things. We've tried a lot of stuff. I love trying things. I always think about the worst case scenario. And if the worst case scenario isn't that bad, I usually go for it. And I'm actually doing that right now. I'm going to be opening up an online shop in the spring. It's called Cozy Prairie Linens, and I'm actually going to be, once again, manufacturing my own products, but they're completely different than my baby apparel from years ago. I've done my research. I'm excited, and it's a lot of money to invest, but I'm going to try it, and the worst thing that can happen is I don't make a profit, hoping to make my money back, and then I pivot. Right? So if you get to that 3 to 5 year point, or your project is really affecting your family and yourself, maybe you can pivot and do something different. Maybe rather than being a DIY decor content creator, you can maybe reach out to a brand and see if they're hiring for social media. Maybe you can use the talents and abilities you have to start a business painting interiors. There's so many different things that you can do. I think content creation is amazing. I love it so much. And it is hard sometimes to do that life-work balance when you're working at home as a content creator. Everything that you do, you think, how can I monetize this? And sometimes that can be unhealthy. And sometimes it's just not for everybody. But I do think, once again, you need to be consistent. You need to stick with it. You need to get to that 3 to 5 year point and see for yourself. And I promise you, if you take these small, consistent steps, it is going to be 100% worth it. I love what I do. I feel so blessed and lucky and honored that I am able to do something that I truly love day in and day out. Like any job, it has its things that I hate, but most of it is amazing and I love it. So I hope that motivates you as you continue on in this new year. Be consistent. Do those small steps so that you can get to those big steps. Please don't give up, especially if you are experiencing that plateau of latent potential. You might be just on the brink of that 0-degree melting point where things are going to start to fall in place. Thanks so much for listening to today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Head on over to the show notes for this podcast for all the links I mentioned in today's video at thesixfigurecreator.com. I'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks.